Good afternoon and God bless, family and brothers and sisters. We are about to dive into the New Testament and then get through the New Testament chapter by chapter and then get into the Old Testament. And we're starting with Matthew. And so we're going to start with the historical context and background of Matthew. And I'm going to use the English Student Study Bible. And I'm also going to use The Evolution of the Word by Marcus J. Borg. Evolution of the Word is basically going to be to utilize for the context and historical backgrounds of all the New Testament books and documents and letters. And then, we're just going to do it chapter by chapter. So I hope you're ready and buckle in, because this is going to be a fun ride. God is going to guide us and we're going to grow together and with God. Alright, family, let's get into the context. For centuries, it has been taken for granted that this gospel was written by Matthew and thus an eyewitness to the historical life of Jesus. Not just any eyewitness, one that was in the inner circle of the 12. Mainstream scholarship, modern scholarship, does not think this to be likely because names were assigned to gospels only in the 2nd century. The Gospel of Matthew does not claim to be written by Matthew, one of the 12 disciples. Moreover, its date in the last decades of the 1st century makes it unlikely that it was written by somebody who knew the historical Jesus. Finally, the author used Mark as his major source. Would an eyewitness have done that? Used a source written by somebody who was not an eyewitness, right? Alright, family, so something that's cool about Matthew that's different than the other 3 synoptic gospels is that he has his own 5-fold structure, where the other 3 have a 3-fold narrative pattern of Galilee, journey to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem. In between the story of Jesus' birth and his final days, the body of Matthew's gospel has 5 blocks or sections of material, as scholars have noted. The 5-fold structure reflects the 5 books of the Pentateuch, Torah, and perhaps also the traditional division of Psalms into 5 sections. Matthew's 5-fold structure suggests that the story of Jesus is analogous to the story of Moses and the Exodus in both importance and content. Jesus' story is about a new Exodus from a new Pharaoh and the creation of a new community under God, and it is deeply grounded in the story of ancient Israel. Alright, family, the theme expressed in this structure also shows up in particular details. For example, the first of the 5 blocks of teaching in Matthew begins with Jesus going up to the mountain. And then what follows in chapters 5 to 7 is known as the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew is the only gospel that says that Jesus taught this from a mountain. Jesus, like Moses, a new Moses, is revealing God's will from a mountain, a new Sinai. Connections with Moses and Exodus appear in Matthew's story of Jesus' birth. After genealogy underlines Jesus' origins in Israel's heritage going back to Abraham, it is dominated by King Herod